Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Clippers are old, Fernando Tatis Jr. is good, and Jeff Passan joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase, who has led the American League in saves 3 different times, being placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as baseball investigates sports gambling. Clase's teammate Luis Ortiz placed on similar leave 3 weeks ago after increased gambling activity was noticed on 2 pitches Ortiz threw. Clase has not been accused of anything untoward, but will be out until September 1st. Clase's ERA last year, Wilbon, 0.61.
Yeah.
Wilbon, what feels fair to say at this point?
Tony, I don't know what's fair to say. I'm not going to concentrate on it, and I'm not going to think about it because I don't care. Leagues and networks have gotten into bed with gambling and gamblers. That's all I care. I care to say that. And if I'm Clase or anybody else, and they don't ultimately come up with proof, evidence, proof, not trends, proof that I was involved in this, you think that Bryce Harper went after the commissioner? I'd be going after the commissioner with the most powerful lawyers, sharks I could after baseball. Because I don't work for the gambling houses. I don't work for them. I work for baseball. And basically, when you take me out, you're casting an aspersion, and you better have proof if I did not do this, if. I know big if. But, Tony, networks, again, and leagues, they got in bed with gamblers. I don't want to see them pointing the finger at anybody else, and never themselves. You could tell it makes me angry.
So many things make you angry, yes. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if Clase is involved with gamblers and gambling. I don't know if Ortiz is involved with gamblers and gambling, but I'm pretty sure what I'm going to say now. And I even wrote it down, gambling can't be good for the integrity of a sport because it raises more questions than it resolves. 8 to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, there was no problem like this because baseball and basketball and football did not have gambling partners. Now they have gambling partners, and commissioners stand up and they say things like, in the main, gambling is fine, except for these things. Well, what are these things? Is it betting on the first pitch? Is it betting on the first 3-point shot? Is it betting on the first forward pass? Or is it the first pitch, the 8th pitch, and the 23rd pitch? It's very, very hard to tell how these things work. But I will tell you this. With the way gambling works now, Mike, there is a real sense of who bets, how much they bet, when they bet, and on what they bet. The database is enormous. Everybody knows exactly what is going on. So you can zero in on something. And I think, Mike, sports, and I know we agree on this, opened up a terrible can of worms with gambling. And I think the only deterrent for players, honestly, the only deterrent is banishment for life. That's all that will deter it. If these people are involved, and if they're not, I agree with you, get off them. Get off them.
Well, that's where we entered. You said there wasn't much of a problem 50 years ago. Don't tell that to Pete Rose or his estate or all the people who wanted him in the Hall of Fame all these years. There's always
that was very specific about baseball. That was specific about baseball and gambling.
It's so much broader now. There's so much more we know about it now. And who's to fault for that? Clase? I don't think so. Let's move to the NBA, where the Clippers are getting old. The team officially reintroduced 40-year-old Chris Paul yesterday, who joins the 36-year-old James Harden, or soon to be, 34-year-old Kawhi Leonard, and 32-year-old Bradley Beal, among others. As Yahoo's Tom Haberstroh notes, the team's average age is higher than 33. By contrast, the Thunder's was lower than 25 when they just won the title. So, Tone, do you give the Clippers strategy, going old, big chance, little chance, no chance in today's NBA?
I certainly don't give them a big chance because, as you said, the reigning NBA champions were the youngest average age team in the last half century. And if you combine the Thunder and the Pacers, you had the lowest average age ever in an NBA final. And now you got Methuselah walking down Century Boulevard, and you're asking me if I like the strategy. No, I don't like the strategy. I give them a little chance because they've accumulated wonderful players, even if they're over 30, and in some cases, way over 30. But you got to go through 4 rounds of the playoffs against good teams whose average age is probably 6, 8, 10 years younger. I think it can work to get into the playoffs. I don't know if it works in the playoffs. And a lot of pressure on Tyronn Lue to make sure he doesn't pull a Thibodeau, to make sure he spreads the minutes out and doesn't, ruin his players at that age.
Tone, I'm glad you mentioned T. Lue, because T. Lue's not going to beat Tibbs in that regard. He's going to realize half the guys are as old as he is. Could have played against a couple of guys, probably has. Tony, I'm looking at their lineup of Kawhi, Harden, Zubac, who's 28, Beal, Bogdanovich, and then a bench of Batum, Derrick Jones Jr., who's 28, Chris Paul, and Brook Lopez, who I didn't mention yet, and he's 36, 37. Tony, I think you're right about this. We're going to disagree on the end result. But I think T. Lue's the perfect guy to sort of use their planned obsolescence, but get them to the playoff. If he can get Kawhi there, God knows that may take a miracle. But get them to the playoffs, and then I'll still take the old dudes because they don't have to play back-to-backs, and there's no practice, and it's not. Tony, I'll take them if they can get to a top 5 spot. I'll take the Clippers to win a round, maybe more.
We've got baseball questions for our great friend, ESPN senior MLB insider Jeff Passan. I'll go to the glasses so that I can read these. You reported yesterday, Jeff, that Bryce Harper told Commissioner Rob Manfred, right to his face, to, quote, get the bleep out of our clubhouse if Manfred wanted to talk about a potential salary cap. What is your takeaway from that entire exchange?
I think it's a microcosm, Tony, of the relationship between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association. And look, this is something that's been going on for more than half a century at this point. The owners want to put a salary cap in place, and the players say, no, we want a free market. We want a free market because a free market gives us Juan Soto at 15 years and $765 million. And, Rob Manfred never used the words salary cap in that meeting, but he didn't have to because the rhetoric has been amping up over the last year or so among the owners. David Rubenstein of the Baltimore Orioles said publicly, I would like a salary cap. Others have implied as much. And it's just a red line for the players. It's something that Bryce Harper in that meeting said, we will lose 162 games if it means avoiding a salary cap. Now, Major League Baseball has already in 1994 seen a World Series canceled because of the salary cap. And here we are 30 plus years later, and the same thing is happening again. And as a fan of baseball, I can only hope that they don't miss the forest for the trees and that they understand that losing a season of baseball, fighting over labor, it might not be the death knell of the sport, but if it has any sort of effect like it did back in 1994, it will take a long, long time to come back from.
Wow. I don't remember Bryce Harper going back after Jonathan Papelbon quite as hard as he went after Rob Manfred, but that's just me. I don't want to get too sidetracked, Jeff. I want to ask you about trade deadline darling, Gino Suarez. Yes, Gino, as he's known here in the desert. He got hit on the index finger last night with a pitch. X-rays are negative, but how much is it going to affect his value? Do you think some team might pull out? What's going to happen to Suarez, who's got 1 trillion home runs so far after this hit by pitch last night?
Mike, he's missing today's game, which does not bode well necessarily, and teams are worried, and I can understand why, because the one thing that can really sap power from a player is an injury to the hand or the wrist. And Eugenio Suarez, for all that he does well, the thing that teams are going to be acquiring him for, theoretically, is for that home run power. And yet, because it's not broken, I can't imagine a team is going to sit there and say, well, if we're going to acquire him or not acquire him, a bruised finger is going to keep us from doing that. That just doesn't seem particularly realistic. But look, 48 hours out from the deadline, teams are looking for all the leverage that they possibly can get and all the reasons not to pay as much as the Diamondbacks want. I foresee him going by the end of the deadline and being potentially the biggest name to go.
Do you have a favorite landing spot for him, Jeff, just to follow up?
I mean, the Cubbies seem pretty perfect. I know Matt Shaw has played really well lately, 4 home runs in his last 9 games.
Yeah.
Seattle Mariners are another spot. I'd say to a lesser extent, the Cincinnati Reds, Philadelphia Phillies, and Detroit Tigers. Someone's going to get him. Someone's going to be really happy to have gotten him.
All right, speaking of injured stars who could impact everything, Aaron Judge's injury, we still don't know, of course, when he's going to be back and when he's going to be back fully as Aaron Judge. Do the Yankees do anything? What's their mindset now going into these final 48 hours, not knowing about their star?
The Yankees have been really proactive still on the trade market. And yet you have to acknowledge that without Aaron Judge in that lineup, it is a completely different team. If Aaron Judge is not a New York Yankee right now, they're playing the whole season without him, this is probably a 500 team. That's how good he's been this year. And you don't know what kind of Aaron Judge you're going to get back. But let's also look at what the injury is. It is a flexor injury in his forearm and connected to his elbow. It's the sort of thing where even if he can't throw, he still will be able to hit. He will be able to DH. And the hope is to get him back around that 10-day mark off the injured list and to ease him in after a week or two of DH back to playing in the outfield. But look, even if he's not in the outfield all the rest of this season, he's still going to be a force in that lineup. And because of that, the Yankees are shopping for closers. They're in on David Bednar. They're in on Ryan Helsley. I anticipate that they are going to get a big relief arm before the deadline is over, perhaps 2 relief arms, and they're also looking at starting pitching as well.
We will get you out of here on this, but we will ask you to be quick in the answer if you could. Are there any other players or is there a team that you're keeping an eye on for activity as the trade deadline approaches?
2 players who I think we should at very least keep an eye on. Number 1, Stephen Kwan with the Cleveland Guardians. After Emmanuel Clase was put on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of the gambling investigation yesterday, Kwan's name started coming up plenty more. He could move. And then Mackenzie Gore with your Nationals, Tony. They are setting a high price, but if that price is met, I don't think the Nationals will hesitate to move him.
We've already lost so many people in this situation.
The only reason he's got to watch now.
Don't want to lose Gore. Thank you,
James
Jeff.
Wood, Michael.
Thank you,
James
Jeff.
Wood. Thank you, boys.
That's right. He's got wood.
Let's take one last break.